In 1839, French physicist Edmond Becquerel was experimenting with a cell made of metal electrodes in a conducting solution. He noted that the cell produced more electricity when it was exposed to light. Little did he know that what he was observing was the photoelectric effect. As technology progressed, solar cells become more modern and has become of practical use. And the photoelectric effect has been the core of all solar cell technology. So with that, we explore one aspect of solar cell study which aims to improve its efficiency in electricity production. Which is solar cell performance. So what is a solar cell? So a solar cell is an electronic device that converts sunlight into electricity. Therefore, operation of solar cells mainly depends on the sunlight that it absorbs and the integrity of the solar cell structure itself. Any defect or poor architecture of solar cell will affect its performance not only in capturing the sunlight but also in efficiently using the photon energy to generate current. So the generation of current from a solar cell involves two key processes. So one is the absorption of incident photons from sunlight to create electron-hole pairs. Number two is the collection of these carriers in the p-n junction to create an electric field and thus produce current. So the operation of solar cells is mainly divided into two parts, namely the absorption of light and the collection of carriers. So light trapping from the incident sunlight plays a key role in solar cell to enhance light confinement and then light absorption within the cell. It is mainly achieved through reduction of reflectance of incident sunlight through good anti-reflective coating, typically silicon nitride. And the letter B is the reduction of the reflectance of incident sunlight through cell surface texturing. When the semiconductor is exposed to light, it absorbs the light's energy and transfers it to negatively charged particles in the material called electrons. This extra energy allows the electrons to flow through the material as an electrical current. This current is extracted to conductive metal contacts, the grid, like lines on a solar cell, and can then be used to power your home and the rest of the electric grid. So this is mainly discussed because of what we call defects. So these are imperfections in the structure which affects the light gathering efficiency of the solar cells. The defects that can affect solar cells will be discussed by Cherylenne.
In solar cell production, there will always be defects. So first, let's discuss about some of the defects that can affect light absorption. First is the contamination on the anti-reflective coating, which can affect the current density generated from photons. In this sample, an unknown brownish contamination is seen on the sunny side surface of the solar cell. The microscopic image of the contaminated area is seen to have dusty appearance, but we don't know what it is. With the help of SEM-EDX equipment, a clear SEM image is captured showing that the contamination lies on top of the anti-reflective film. The images are shown in different magnification. With the EDX analysis, the contamination are determined to have presence of metallic element, which is iron. Determining what particular contamination is present on the defect will help the engineer to find the source and correct the problem. Another example is the defect in surface texturization. Bad texturization of the solar cell can result to high light reflection. It can also affect the current density due to optical problems caused by the high reflection of light resulting to poor light trapping. And with the use of SEM-EDX equipment, high magnification images can be observed. In this specific example, the specimen is mounted in a tilted position. The images show that the pyramid formation on the bad sample is seen to be smaller or shorter compared to the good sample. Looking at the top view, the bad sample also shows relatively smaller formation of the pyramid bases and with the presence of voids or untextured areas. The second solar cell operation that can be jeopardized by defects is the carrier collection. Solar cells can have carrier correction problem when the grids or fingers that collects the current is compromised with a defect. In this example, there is a presence of unwanted metal-like material between the PN junction of the solar cell. But how can we know for sure? With the use of SEM-EDX, a top view image confirms that the unwanted metal-like material is really connecting the PN junction that is suspectedly causing the shunting in the device. And with the help of EDX analysis, it was confirmed that there are metallic elements found in the unwanted material, and since they are metallic in nature, the shunting mechanism is confirmed to be coming from this unwanted connection of the PN junction.
So how do we diagnose or address these problems? In a short video by Mike, he demonstrates how to diagnose and detect imperfections and how to address
To
them.
understand the problem, we need to know what is present on the surface of the cell. We collected some sample with stain and prepared it for SEM-EDX analysis. We cut portion of the cell covering the area with stain and without the stain. The sample was placed in a holder and marked the position. The sample was sprayed with clean dry air to remove foreign material. We placed the sample in the SEM-EDX. We then make a setup targeting first the area with stain. Then we took the elemental analysis in EDX, which reveals presence of tins and oxygen.
To summarize, the contaminated area revealed the presence of tin and oxygen, which means tin oxide was present in the surface of the cell. The tin oxide presence was determined to be caused by back and wet process, which is a developing process development. The stannic adhered in the surface as the cell is submerged in a process batch solution and stayed as the cell is moved up in the next station. The rinse is unable to remove the tin oxide as it already adhered in the cell. Addressing the problem, tin precipitator or a stannic precipitator was introduced to the process to precipitate tin oxide as to not adhere in the cell. Another way of characterizing solar cells is the light beam induced current or the LBIC. So what is LBIC? It is a well-established 2 mapping technique for characterization of solar cells. It is especially relevant for roll-to-roll printed organic photovoltaics or OPV because this type of photovoltaics is printed or coated on plastic substrates layer by layer, which inevitably generates many kinds of defects such as layer thickness, variations, misalignment, duetting spots, delamination, particle contamination, and etc. So to properly illustrate the LBIC technique, we have a paper here entitled 2D Characterization of OPB from Single and Tandem Cells to Fully Roll-to-Roll Process Modules with and without electrical contact. So this is authored by Krebs et al. So here we can actually see in the first figure the relative depths of the LBIC showing the different elements of the solar cell, along with their respective defects, shown by the blue imperfections in the solar cell. Here, in the second figure, we have the figure above showing the alligator clip due to its reflectance. And in the figure below, we have 3 missing panels of solar cells because of a presence of defect. And lastly, in this image, we have sharp lines shaded by the blue lines here in the middle of the solar cells, which is present due to small duetting spots. And finally, we have this figure which is comprised of different LBIC results using different kinds of methods. Properly diagnosing the imperfections of a solar cell is essential in making sure that all solar cells produced is of quality. So remember, when you buy solar cells, it is properly inspected to make sure that it is gathering light efficiently for it to produce electricity properly.